Welcome to a new episode of Animal Quests. Today we bring you some of the most astonishing and spine-tingling shark encounter stories ever told. From pulse-racing escapes to miraculous survivals, these extraordinary tales will leave you breathless and captivated. Let's dive into our first story, where a little girl confuses a shark for a dolphin. It was a warm afternoon in 2018 at Bondi Beach, a beautiful, bright beach on the coast of Australia. Due to the summer season, families enjoyed the golden sand that glowed in the sun and the clear water that sparkled like diamonds. Among them was the Carter family, enjoying a much-needed vacation. Their youngest, 8-year-old Lily, was full of energy and loved the ocean. She played near the water's edge, making her easy to spot as she splashed and paddled with joy. Lily's parents, Mark and Sarah, set up their beach umbrella and laid out towels while keeping a close eye on their daughter. The beach seemed like a perfect paradise, far removed from any worries or dangers. Yet, in a matter of moments, a sudden horror would change everything. As the afternoon went on, Lily's adventurous spirit led her to swim farther from the shore. She felt a strong pull towards the deeper waters where the waves move more freely. Her parents were deep in conversation and didn't notice her drifting away. The ocean, with its gentle lull, seemed to welcome her with open arms. The water was cool and inviting. Lily felt a thrill as she floated further out with her legs kicking in excitement. She marveled at the beauty beneath the surface where colorful fish darted among the coral and the seaweed swayed like underwater gardens. She imagined herself as a mermaid exploring the mysteries of the deep. However, the perfect day was about to take a dark turn as Lily got farther from the shore. Unbeknownst to her, a threat was moving slowly through the water with a silent and menacing grace. The first hint of trouble came when a school of fish scattered in a frenzied rush, darting past Lily with alarming speed. She watched in curiosity but was still unafraid. On the beach, Sarah was engrossed in her book while Mark relaxed under the shade of an umbrella. The soothing sound of the waves provided a perfect backdrop to their peaceful afternoon. They felt confident that Lily was safe playing near the shore, so they remained absorbed in their activities. Out in the water, Lily floated happily, her laughter blending with the gentle lapping of the waves. She giggled as the gentle waves rocked her back and forth, completely unaware of the danger beneath her. The great white shark, driven by intense hunger, had been swimming around the area for some time. Its smooth, powerful body moved through the water with deadly precision. As it got closer, Lily caught a glimpse of a fin and, in her innocence, thought it might be a playful dolphin. She smiled, thinking it wanted to join in her fun. Yet she was tragically mistaken. This was not a friendly creature but a dangerous predator on the hunt. Suddenly, the water around Lily seemed to change, the calm surface breaking into a frenzy of motion. The shark had spotted its prey. With terrifying speed and precision, it closed in on the unsuspecting girl. The moment of attack was swift and fierce. The water exploded in a turbulent swell as the shark's powerful jaws clamped down on Lily's leg. A piercing scream cut through the air, reaching the beach and sending a wave of panic through the crowd. Immediately, Sarah looked towards the spot where Lily had been playing but couldn't see her daughter. Terrified, she realized Lily was missing. Mark and Sarah's worst fears came true. They sprinted towards the water, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and adrenaline. The once joyful beach scene had turned into a nightmare within seconds. The shark writhed furiously, creating powerful shockwaves in the water. Lily's screams were muffled by the ocean as she was pulled deeper into the depths. Blood from her wound spread out in the water. She flailed desperately, trying with all her might to escape, but the shark's grip was unyielding. Her movements became weaker as the strength drained from her small body. The sharp, cold fangs tore into her leg, and she could feel the agonizing anguish coursing through her whole body. Her lungs burned as she struggled to breathe, the salty water stinging her eyes and filling her mouth. She didn't want it to end here, not in this way, but she couldn't fight back anymore. Her last sighting was her loving parents screaming on the shore. A deep sense of sorrow and fear washed over her, but amidst the chaos, a strange calm settled in. The pain started to fade, replaced by a cold numbness. Along the shoreline, A group of beachgoers gathered with pale faces, shocked by what they saw and feeling helpless to intervene. They called out for Lily, their cries swallowed by the immense expanse of the sea. The atmosphere grew tense as everyone hoped for a miracle. As Mark and Sarah reached the water, they didn't hesitate to dive in, swimming with all their might toward their daughter. The shark, possibly disturbed by their frantic approach or simply satisfied with its initial attack, loosened its grip. Mark reached Lily first, grabbing her and swimming back to shore with Sarah right behind them. On the beach, first aid was administered quickly as they called for emergency services. Lily was in shock, her leg severely injured, but she was alive. Within minutes, a rescue helicopter arrived, and Lily was airlifted to the nearest hospital. Lily survived with a serious leg injury, a testament to her strength and resilience. Doctors were amazed by her ability to endure such an ordeal. The attack shocked the community, especially since it was the third shark attack at Crescent Cove in the past month, earning the predator the nickname Terror Shark. Now let's move on to story number 2. A heart-wrenching tale of 2 young girls who embarked on a surfing adventure to celebrate their high school graduation. But before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It really helps support the channel. On June 10, 1994, the sun shone brightly on a secluded beach on the rugged coast of Northern California. The waves crashed gently against the shore, blending with the laughter of 2 friends who had just graduated high school. It was an idyllic day, perfect for celebrating their newfound freedom and future adventures. Unbeknownst to them, this would be their last carefree vacation. Since their first year in high school, Mia Collins had been the spirited leader. Her athletic abilities and infectious laughter naturally drew people to her. Her closest friend Ava was the brainy and careful one, always tempering Mia's adventurous spirit with caution. To mark their graduation, Mia and Ava had planned a surfing trip to this hidden beach, famous for its perfect waves. Everything looked perfect, promising a day of unlimited fun, oblivious to the dark turn their adventure would soon take. The 2 friends entered the cold waters and began to paddle out. Mia, always the teacher, was trying to teach Ava how to surf. She patiently showed her the techniques, guiding her through each movement. After some time, Ava managed to catch a small wave and felt the joy of finally understanding how to surf. At the end of the morning, the atmosphere began to change. The once lively water now seemed eerily still. Mia, paddling slightly ahead, noticed fish darting away and a dark shape gliding below. She felt a chill but brushed it off, thinking it was just her mind playing tricks. But as the morning wore on, the first sign of real danger appeared. The friends were each floating on their boards when a massive shadow emerged from the depths. The great white shark, about 18 feet long, had been patrolling the area, driven by hunger and the search for prey. Its sleek body glided through the water with terrifying speed and precision. Mia was catching a small wave, enjoying the thrill as she rode it toward the shore. Just a few feet behind her, Ava was also paddling slowly, trying to steady herself on her board. They were so close they could almost touch each other, their boards drifting side by side. As they laughed and chatted, completely unaware of the danger, the shark zeroed in on them. Its movements were swift and calculated, like a silent predator. The dark silhouette of the great white shark grew larger and more menacing with each passing second. The sunlight barely penetrated the depths, casting eerie shadows that made the shark's approach even more terrifying. Without warning, the shark struck. The water exploded into chaos as the beast lunged at Mia and Ava simultaneously. The sheer force of the attack sent waves crashing in all directions, and the once calm ocean became a frenzy of white foam and blood. Mia's scream echoed across the beach as the shark's powerful jaws clamped down on her lower body. Ava, caught off guard, was yanked under the water by the shark's massive tail. She struggled to surface, her limbs flailing desperately against the current. Every second felt like an eternity as she fought to break free from the beast's powerful pull. The water around her was murky with blood, and her vision blurred as panic set in. Mia struggled desperately, her body being tossed around in the water. The shark's teeth tore into her flesh with bone-crushing force. She could feel her bones snapping under the immense pressure, her body thrashing involuntarily. Her blood stained the water around her, creating a dark cloud that seemed to expand with every passing moment. Ava, disoriented and gasping for air, surfaced briefly. She caught sight of Mia's bloodied form being dragged through the water, her friend's eyes wide with terror and pain. Desperation surged through Ava as she paddled furiously toward Mia, her limbs burning with exertion. Just as Ava reached Mia, the shark turned its attention to her. It lunged again, its jaws closing around Ava's torso. The force of the bite knocked the air out of her lungs, and she felt a searing pain as the shark's teeth sank into her flesh. Ava screamed, a raw, primal sound that echoed across the beach. Mia, now barely conscious, watched helplessly as her friend was pulled away. The pain was overwhelming, and she felt her body growing numb. With one last, desperate effort, she tried to call out to Ava, but her voice was barely a whisper. Tears mixed with the salt water as the world around her grew darker, and she knew that this was the end. Her final thoughts were of the adventures they had shared, now slipping away like the fading light. The once bright and sunny day had turned into a tragic memory. The ocean, vast and indifferent, claimed the lives of two friends whose bond had been as deep as the waters that now held them. Traumatized beachgoers rushed to the shore as they saw the bloody aftermath in the water. Emergency services were called, and within minutes paramedics arrived, but it was too late. Mia and Ava's lifeless bodies were recovered from the bloodied water, the surfboards with deep bite marks telling their horrifying fate. Our next story features a DJ who thought it would be fun to take a swim in Ibiza after playing his music at an amazing beach party. What happened next was incredible, so sit tight and listen closely. It was a sun-drenched afternoon on the mesmerizing shores of Ibiza, where the music and the waves collided in a symphony of pure, unadulterated joy. The beachside party was in full swing, with neon lights dancing across the faces of hundreds of revelers. At the center of it all was Matt, a DJ whose beats could make the sand beneath your feet vibrate. Matt lived for these moments, the crescendo of the crowd's cheers blending seamlessly with the rhythm of his music. Today was no different. His fingers danced over the turntables, coaxing melodies that electrified the air. The atmosphere was palpable, an intoxicating mix of salt air, sweat, and euphoria. After an exhilarating set, Matt decided to cool off with a swim. The ocean, with its gentle waves kissing the shore, beckoned him. He removed his headphones, handed them to a friend, and dashed toward the water, his laughter mingling with the music that still pulsed through the speakers. Matt plunged into the cool embrace of the sea, feeling the refreshing surge wash over him. He swam further, savoring the moment of solitude amidst the chaos of the beach party. Little did he know, his life was about to take a terrifying turn. The water, once a haven of peace, suddenly felt different. A shiver ran down Matt's spine as he sensed something amiss. His instincts screamed at him to turn back, but curiosity pushed him to take a few more strokes. That's when he saw it, a dark silhouette gliding beneath him, a shadow that grew larger with each passing second. Panic set in, but before he could react, a massive force struck him from below. The world flipped upside down as he was propelled into the air, crashing back into the water with a splash. Pain seared through his leg, and he realized with horror that he was face to face with a shark. The water turned crimson as the shark's teeth tore into his flesh. Matt's mind raced, adrenaline flooding his system. He kicked and thrashed, desperate to break free, but the shark's grip was relentless. Every second felt like an eternity, the pain almost unbearable. He thought of the beach, the music, the friends he had left behind just moments ago. He couldn't die here. Not like this. Summoning every ounce of strength, he punched the shark's snout, a desperate bid for survival. Miraculously, the beast loosened its grip, giving Matt a precious window of escape. With his leg bleeding profusely, he swam toward the shore, each stroke a battle against the waves and his own weakening body. The party was still in full swing, oblivious to the nightmare unfolding just a few meters away. As Matt's vision blurred, he heard the distant thrum of a helicopter. His heart leaped with a flicker of hope. The rescue team had spotted him. The shark circled back, sensing its prey slipping away, but the helicopter's presence seemed to deter it. A rope ladder descended from the chopper, and Matt, using the last reserves of his strength, grabbed hold. The pain in his leg was excruciating, but he clung on, each rung a lifeline pulling him away from the jaws of death. The helicopter ascended, lifting Matt out of the water. Below him, the shark thrashed in frustration, the blood-stained water a grim reminder of how close he had come to death. As the helicopter soared over the beach, the partygoers began to realize what had transpired. Gasps of horror and murmurs of disbelief rippled through the crowd, administering first aid as the helicopter raced towards the nearest hospital. Matt's thoughts drifted back to the party, to the life he had almost lost, and a tear rolled down his cheek. He had faced death and survived, but he knew that the scars of that encounter would stay with him forever. As the helicopter flew into the sunset, carrying Matt to safety, the beach below slowly returned to its festive rhythm. Our next story is about a thrill-seeking young man embarked on a jet-skiing adventure, his heart racing with excitement. Little did he know, as he sped across the water, a menacing shadow loomed silently beneath the surface. It was a bright and sunny morning off the coast of Hawaii, the perfect day for an adrenaline-filled adventure. Jack, a thrill-seeking tourist with a love for high-speed water sports, was ready to conquer the waves on a jet ski. But this adventure was more than just a search for thrills. It was a much-needed escape. Jack had always been the kind of person who lived life on the edge. Back home, he was known for his adventurous spirit and his infectious laughter. But beneath that carefree exterior, Jack carried a heavy heart. Recently, life had thrown more at him than he could handle. A painful breakup and the loss of his job had left him reeling, searching for a way to feel alive again. Hawaii seemed like the perfect place to find solace. The lush landscapes and endless ocean offered a sanctuary far removed from his troubles. Jack hoped that the beauty of the island and the rush of adrenaline would help him forget, even if just for a while. He longed to feel the wind in his hair and the freedom of the open sea, to leave his worries behind on the shore. As he prepared to jet ski that morning, he felt a flicker of excitement for the first time in months. The ocean shimmered under the golden sun, its vast expanse inviting and deceptively tranquil. He took a deep breath, inhaling the salty air, and revved the engine of his jet ski, feeling the power of the machine beneath him. He grinned widely, his heart pounding with anticipation. The sound of the roaring engine echoed across the water, blending with the distant calls of seabirds. This was paradise, a moment of pure exhilaration. Jack's excitement was palpable as he sped across the water, slicing through waves with ease. He felt invincible, the troubles of his life momentarily forgotten. The wind whipped through his hair, and the salt spray on his face was refreshing. He pushed the jet ski to its limits, carving sharp turns and jumping off the crests of waves, each moment more thrilling than the last. Here, in the vastness of the ocean, Jack felt truly free. But paradise can quickly turn into a nightmare. In the midst of his high-speed adventure, Jack misjudged a wave. The jet ski veered wildly, and in an instant Jack was thrown into the air. Time seemed to slow as he hung suspended above the water, the jet ski tumbling beneath him. The world turned upside down before he crashed into the ocean with a force that knocked the breath out of him. Disoriented and struggling to regain his bearings, Jack surfaced, gasping for air. His heart raced, adrenaline surging through his veins. He scanned the water for his jet ski, which bobbed a few meters away, but his relief was short-lived. Beneath the surface, a shadow moved. Jack's breath caught in his throat as he felt a sudden, intense pain in his leg. He looked down in horror to see the unmistakable silhouette of a shark, its powerful jaws clamped around his limb. The water around him turned crimson as he struggled to free himself, his screams muffled by the roaring waves. The shark thrashed violently, pulling Jack under the water. Panic set in, and Jack's thoughts raced. He had always known the risks, but this was a nightmare beyond his worst fears. The once inviting ocean had become a scene of terror. He fought with every ounce of strength he had, kicking and punching at the shark. His vision blurred with pain and fear, and his lungs burned for air. The shark's grip tightened, its powerful body thrashing, sending shockwaves through the water. Jack's strength began to wane. His movements grew weaker and his vision started to fade. Desperation and a primal will to survive kept him fighting, but it was a battle he was losing. The ocean, vast and unforgiving, seemed to close in around him. In those final moments, as the darkness crept in, Jack's thoughts turned to his family and friends. He had always been a fighter, a thrill seeker, but he had never imagined it would end like this. The pain and terror began to fade, replaced by a strange sense of calm, and then silence. The once tumultuous waters stilled, and the ocean reclaimed its serenity. Jack's jet ski drifted aimlessly, a haunting reminder of the adventure that had turned into a tragic encounter. The sun continued to shine, oblivious to the life it had witnessed slip away. This was the end of Jack's journey, a stark reminder of the unpredictable and often dangerous beauty of the ocean. It was a place of wonder and thrill, but also a realm where the boundaries between life and death could blur in an instant. In the aftermath, the waters off the coast of Hawaii returned to their usual calm, the sun casting a golden glow over the horizon. The waves continued to crash against the shore, indifferent to the tragedy that had unfolded in their depths. Our next story is truly harrowing. A massive shark attack strikes on the very day a bride is preparing for her wedding. Will she make it through this nightmare? It was a perfect summer day on a secluded Caribbean island. The sun cast a golden hue over the crystal clear waters, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of salt and tropical flowers, creating pure bliss. This idyllic setting was the backdrop for Laura's wedding weekend, a celebration filled with love and excitement. Laura, a radiant bride-to-be, was surrounded by her closest friends. They arrived early to soak in the beauty and enjoy pre-wedding festivities. The island felt like a dream come true, a paradise where worries melted away. Laura, drawn to the ocean since childhood, found comfort in the waves and water. The island wedding was perfect for her new beginning, surrounded by the sea's beauty and serenity. As the sun climbed higher, Laura and her bridesmaids decided to dip into the inviting waters. The ocean sparkled, and their laughter echoed across the beach. They splashed and played, discussing the wedding and reveling in the moment. Emily, Laura's best friend since childhood, suggested swimming to a nearby sandbar, known for its shallow waters and vibrant marine life. The idea was met with enthusiasm, and they began their swim, captivated by the underwater world teeming with life. Laura, with her infectious smile and carefree spirit, swam further out, feeling exhilarated. She floated on her back, staring at the clear blue sky, living her dreams surrounded by friends. As they neared the sandbar, Laura dove down to explore the vibrant coral reefs and darting fish. She surfaced, her face lit with excitement, eager to share her discoveries with her friends. But beneath the surface, something sinister lurked. A dark shape moved with predatory grace, unnoticed by the joyful swimmers. Laura felt a sudden sharp pain in her leg, a jolt that shattered her blissful moment. Panic surged through her as she struggled to understand what was happening. Her friends, noticing her distress, swam towards her, their laughter replaced by shouts of concern. Laura's eyes widened with terror as she saw the massive dorsal fin break the surface. It was a shark, and it was coming back for more. The water turned crimson as the shark attacked again, its powerful jaws closing around Laura's leg. She screamed, a sound filled with fear and agony, a sound that cut through the joyful atmosphere like a knife. Her friends reached her, but they were helpless against the predator's relentless assault. Emily, driven by a surge of adrenaline, grabbed Laura's arms, trying to pull her away from the shark. The water around them churned with blood and panic. Laura's strength was fading, her grip weakening as the life drained from her. The other bridesmaids joined in, their screams mixing with Laura's as they fought to save her. Laura's friends formed a human chain, desperately trying to pull her to safety. They kicked and splashed, attempting to scare the shark away, but their efforts seemed futile. The shark circled them, its eyes cold and calculating, assessing its next move. The shark attacked again, this time biting into Laura's other leg. She let out another blood-curdling scream, her body convulsing with pain. Her friends' efforts became even more frantic, their shouts growing louder, attracting the attention of people on the shore. As the shark pulled Laura deeper into the water, her friends' grips began to slip. Emily, refusing to let go, was dragged along, swallowing mouthfuls of salt water as she struggled to keep her head above the surface. Her heart pounded in her chest, the adrenaline giving her strength she didn't know she had. Laura's vision blurred, her strength waning. The force of the attack pulled her from her friend's grasp, the water around them exploding in a frenzy of movement. Laura's screams grew weaker, her strength nearly gone. In a final desperate attempt, Emily dove towards Laura, grabbing her arm with all her might. She pulled with every ounce of strength she had left, her muscles burning from the effort. The shark, sensing its prey slipping away, made one last savage attack. The water erupted in a burst of blood and foam as the shark's jaws closed around Laura. Emily felt her friend's arm slip from her grasp, the life draining from Laura's body. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the beach, Laura's battle came to a tragic end. The shark, its hunger sated, finally let go and disappeared into the depths, leaving behind a scene of devastation. Laura's lifeless body was brought to shore, the joyous anticipation of her wedding day replaced by an overwhelming grief. The island paradise, once a place of celebration, was now a place of sorrow. People on the shore watched in stunned disbelief. A medic helicopter soon arrived, its blade slicing through the air, a stark contrast to the serene beauty of the island. The medical team rushed to Laura, but it was too late. The wedding that was meant to be a celebration of love turned into a somber gathering, as friends and family mourned the loss of a beautiful soul taken too soon. What a heartbreaking story we just witnessed. The following story features a fisherman who set out on a routine fishing trip, only to encounter something completely unforeseen. It was a crisp autumn morning in the coastal village of Rockport, New England. The sun had barely begun to rise, casting a gentle golden hue over the tranquil sea. John, a seasoned fisherman known to everyone in the village, was preparing for what seemed like just another day at sea. Little did he know, this would be his final voyage. John had always been a man of the sea. With weathered hands and a heart full of stories, he had spent his entire life fishing these waters. Today, he set out alone, savoring the peace and solitude of the early morning. The Mariner, his beloved boat, had been with him through thick and thin. It wasn't just a vessel, it was a symbol of his life's journey. John had bought it with the last of his savings, renovated it with his own hands, and poured his soul into every inch of it. The boat was his sanctuary, especially after the devastating loss of his wife, Mary. She had been his anchor, his steadfast support, and losing her had left a void that only the sea could fill. As his boat gently rocked with the waves, John felt a profound connection to the vast expanse around him. The sea had always been his refuge, a place where he could find peace and solace. It was here that he felt closest to Mary, imagining her spirit in the gentle whispers of the wind and the soothing rhythm of the waves. This morning was no different. The air was crisp, and the sound of seagulls filled the silence, creating a perfect harmony with his thoughts. John cast his nets, his movements precise and practiced, honed by decades of experience. As he worked, he thought about his family back home, the village, and the legacy he hoped to leave behind. The sea, with its endless mysteries, had always been a part of his life, but today, it held a secret, one that would change everything. Suddenly, John felt an unusual tug on his net. It was stronger than anything he'd ever encountered. His heart quickened, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursing through him. He pulled harder, muscles straining, as the net seemed to come alive in his hands. What could it be? A giant fish? A lost treasure? The possibilities raced through his mind. As he continued to struggle, the sea beneath him seemed to darken, the once calm waters now churning with an unseen force. The boat rocked violently, and John's excitement turned to fear. He knew these waters well, but this was unlike anything he had ever experienced. His breath quickened, and he glanced around, suddenly feeling very alone. Then, with a surge of power, the creature revealed itself. A massive fin broke the surface, slicing through the water with deadly grace. John's heart nearly stopped as he realized what he was facing. A shark. And not just any shark. This was a great white, its enormous body gliding just beneath the surface, a predator in its element. Panic set in, but John knew he had to stay calm. He tried to free the net, hoping to disentangle himself from the shark's grasp. His hands worked frantically, but the more he struggled, the tighter the net seemed to become. The boat pitched again, and John was thrown off balance, crashing to the deck with a force that knocked the wind out of him. Gasping for breath, he looked up just in time to see the shark's fin circling the boat. It was toying with him, a cat with a mouse. John's mind raced. He needed a plan, something to outwit the beast, but his options were dwindling. The ocean, once a place of comfort and familiarity, now felt like a cold, indifferent expanse, ready to swallow him whole. With a sudden lurch, the shark struck the boat. The impact was so powerful it sent John sprawling again, his head hitting the side with a sickening thud. Dazed and bleeding, he struggled to his feet, only to see the shark's gaping maw rising out of the water. Rows of razor-sharp teeth glistened in the dawn light, and for the first time in his life, John felt true, unbridled terror. Desperation took over. He grabbed a harpoon, his last line of defense. As the shark lunged again, John thrust the weapon with all his remaining strength. The harpoon struck home, but it only seemed to enrage the beast. The shark thrashed violently, and the boat tipped dangerously, water pouring over the sides. John knew he couldn't win this battle. The shark was relentless, a force of nature beyond his control. His strength was fading, his vision blurring. As the boat began to break apart under the onslaught, John made one last effort to survive. He leaped towards the side, hoping to swim to safety, to outpace the monster that hunted him. But the sea had other plans. The shark was faster, more determined. John felt a searing pain as the creature's jaws clamped down on his leg, pulling him into the depths. He screamed, a sound lost to the endless ocean. The water around him turned red, the life force ebbing from his body as the shark dragged him deeper and deeper. In those final moments, John's thoughts were a whirlwind. His family, his village, the sea he had loved so dearly, and Mary, his beloved Mary. It all seemed so distant now, fading away as the cold darkness enveloped him. His struggles grew weaker, his mind slipping into a haze of pain and fear. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. The sea, indifferent and eternal, reclaimed its own. The boat, now a shattered wreck, drifted aimlessly, a silent testament to the battle that had taken place. The next story is about John and Ben, two friends who decided to spend their vacation in South Africa. Eager for an adventure, they sought out the rugged coastline known for its breathtaking beauty and unpredictable dangers. One morning, as they basked in the warmth of the South African sun, they stumbled upon a quaint kayaking rental shop nestled along the shore. The sight of the colorful kayaks lined up, ready for exploration, was too tempting to resist. Ben, a novice to kayaking, was filled with excitement and a hint of apprehension. John, an experienced kayaker, reassured him, promising an unforgettable experience. They suited up, chatted with the friendly rental staff, and received a quick briefing on safety and the best spots to explore. With their kayaks ready, they pushed off into the gentle waves, anticipation coursing through their veins. As they paddled out into the open sea, their spirits soared. The rhythmic motion of paddling, the sparkling water beneath them, and the distant horizon all created a sense of peace and adventure. They laughed and joked, feeling the freedom of the open ocean and the thrill of exploring new waters. They marveled at the vibrant marine life beneath them, spotting schools of fish darting through the clear water and the occasional playful seal. The coastline, with its dramatic cliffs and hidden coves, offered a stunning backdrop to their journey. John and Ben felt like they were part of a perfect postcard scene, their worries left far behind on the shore. As the morning sun climbed higher, casting a warm glow over the water, John and Ben decided to take a break. They let their kayaks drift, enjoying the serene beauty of their surroundings. John shared stories of his past kayaking adventures, and Ben listened intently, eager to soak up every bit of knowledge. But the ocean, ever unpredictable, had other plans. Without warning, something massive brushed against Ben's kayak, swift and powerful. John's heart skipped a beat. He saw it clearly, a gigantic form moving with terrifying grace. He shouted a warning to Ben, his voice filled with urgency, but it was too late. The great white shark struck with terrifying speed, its enormous jaws clamping down on the side of Ben's kayak, flipping it over in an explosion of water and foam. Ben was thrown into the sea, a scream tearing from his throat as he hit the icy water. John's blood ran cold. He paddled furiously towards his friend, his mind racing. The ocean, once a friend, now seemed like a malevolent entity, intent on consuming them both. Ben thrashed in the water, trying to stay afloat, but the shark was relentless, circling with deadly intent. John reached Ben, his hands gripping the edge of the overturned kayak. He tried to pull Ben up, his muscles straining with the effort, but the shark surged again, its dorsal fin cutting through the water like a knife. John screamed at Ben to hold on, his voice cracking with fear and desperation. In a heart-stopping moment, the shark reappeared, its gaping maw opening wide. It clamped down on Ben's leg, dragging him under. John's world slowed to a crawl as he watched his friend disappear beneath the surface, the water turning crimson. Panic surged through John. He knew he had to act fast or lose his friend forever. With every ounce of strength, he dove into the water, his vision blurred by the salt and his own tears. He could see Ben struggling, the shark's grip unyielding. John grabbed Ben's arm, pulling with a primal force, trying to free him from the jaws of death, but the shark was too strong. It thrashed violently, knocking John back. His lungs screamed for air as he fought to stay underwater, his mind consumed by a single thought: save Ben. Time seemed to stretch into eternity as John battled the ocean and the predator within it. Just as his strength began to wane, he felt a surge of resistance. Ben's eyes locked with his, a silent plea for survival. Summoning a final burst of energy, John yanked Ben with everything he had, and miraculously, the shark's grip loosened. They broke the surface together, gasping for air, but the ordeal was far from over. The shore was a distant dream, and the shark was still circling, a shadow of death in the water. John grabbed the overturned kayak, struggling to keep Ben afloat. His mind raced for solutions, every second feeling like a lifetime. Desperation gave way to determination. John knew they couldn't wait for help. They had to save themselves. With painstaking effort, he managed to right the kayak, hauling Ben onto it. Blood streamed from Ben's leg, a gruesome testament to their encounter. John's hands shook as he paddled, his body running on pure adrenaline. The shore inched closer, but the shark was relentless, trailing them like a specter. John's arms burned with exhaustion, every stroke an agony. He kept his eyes fixed on the coastline, willing himself to keep going, to push through the pain and fear. And then, as if the ocean itself took pity, the shark vanished. The water grew calm and the silence was deafening. John didn't dare to believe it, not until they finally reached the shallows, their kayaks scraping against the sand. People on the beach rushed to their aid, their faces blurring into a swirl of concerned expressions. They had made it to shore, but the fight was far from over. Moments later, the ambulance arrived. People quickly laid bandages on Ben's wounds, trying to stem the bleeding. The paramedics worked swiftly, their faces grim as they assessed the severity of Ben's injuries. John watched in anxious silence, hoping against hope that his friend would pull through. As the ambulance sped away, John watched it disappear, his heart heavy with the weight of their shared ordeal. Days later, John sat by Ben's hospital bed, relief washing over him, as Ben finally opened his eyes. The doctors had managed to save Ben's life, but the injuries were severe. Ben would have to live with the scars and the pain for the rest of his life. Despite this, he was forever thankful to his friend for saving him from the jaws of the great white shark. This concludes our final story, reminding us of nature's potential for horror. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be uploading more thrilling content soon, so stay tuned.